Hi friends, I'm Shauna. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the long-awaited, or at least for me, the long time coming reflection on the 6-week contentment challenge. Strap in, y'all. I know you're in for a long video. If you haven't watched my intro video, go watch that now because I break down what I'm going to be doing, what I hope to accomplish in this video, kind of what my thoughts are going in, like why I'm doing it. So go watch that. So the very short breakdown of this challenge is that the first 2 weeks involved fashion and beauty changes, external changes to see if let's say getting dressed every day, styling my hair, putting on makeup, if that affected how I felt about myself and how I went around in the world. The second 2 weeks were about journaling, self-improvement books, those kinds of things that people would typically probably point you to when thinking about contentment or personal growth. And then the last 2 weeks was a combination of the two. In the intro, I felt like the last 2 weeks where I combined the two would likely be the time of the challenge where I would feel the most content. Let's get into the reflection. Long story short, yes, this did bring me contentment. What I do want to say, which I'm fully going to explain later, is that contentment is not a destination. It's something that needs to be maintained by habits and practices that you build for yourself. And we'll talk about it. Let's get into the beauty kind of section first. I did create this little reflection sheet that I used just specifically for the beauty because I wanted to remember what I was wearing and then also how I felt. So the questions were, I said the date, today's outfit in one word, and then today I wore, and it's an actual description of the clothes, and then what I did, and then how, if at all, did my outfit impact my mood today. And then I also put, can also be productivity, outlook, contentment, etc. So a couple of the words that I chose were sad, mixed style, artistic, comfy, spring, competent and capable, and then easy. And so this was actually really helpful to reflect back on to see what I was wearing and what I was doing and maybe why I felt the way that I did. I honestly think that the first 2 weeks or the outfit beauty portion is the part of the challenge that I feel needs the most explaining, because I did enjoy putting on the makeup and getting dressed. I really did. And I did, create a myriad of outfits or outfit types. I had really casual ones, and then I had ones where I had a specific vision in mind, the artistic one. I wanted to have an outfit that felt artistic. I went to that day with that vibe and then gave myself or selected clothes to kind of match that vibe. But it wasn't just artistic. Now that I'm thinking about it, that particular outfit was art teacher vibes or painting at the studio vibes. And then I had another outfit, the one where I wrote competent and capable, where I wanted to feel like a competent businesswoman, kind of, without wearing a power suit, what you might wear to a casual office setting. So I went in with that day as well with a vibe. So there was a lot of experimenting, and some outfits were really easy go-tos. Others were based on words, which I would say that I don't usually dress this way, as in pick a word or a vibe like artistic or competent at my job. That felt different than selecting style words where I want my overall capsule to, let's say, feel romantic as an example, or feminine. This was a bit different. This was today I want to dress in this specific way. Had I one day went in and said, I really want a romantic feminine outfit, that would still feel different than creating a capsule that feels like that. And I enjoyed that the most in picking a vibe of the way that I wanted to look. And those tended to be the days where I actually felt transformed by my clothes. And I also did notice that in the fashion weeks, weeks 1 and 2, and then weeks 5 and 6, I created some of my favorite outfits I've ever created. And I also wore some of my most me outfits that I have ever worn. I was like, oh shit, this is me. I'm at home in this outfit. What this made me realize is that in the intro video, oh, we got a plane, hold on. In the intro video, I talked about my conflicting feelings about getting dressed, as in I recognize that there are some moments where that getting dressed can give you confidence or can alter your mood. Like, it does have those effects, but I also recognized that the times that I felt my most productive, or I was my most productive, wasn't because of clothing. I gave an example at the top of the video, and this is the moment, and the reason why I brought it up in the first video, I don't think I explained it that well, is that when I think about a moment where I did my best work, that is an example that always comes to my mind. As in, this is a time that I'm proud of the work I did, and I worked freaking hard, and I worked hard for, literal weeks at a time. I think at the top of the video, I was viewing clothing as either or. As clothing either gives you confidence or it doesn't. And so after this challenge, I do absolutely wholeheartedly believe that clothing can give you confidence. And I'll talk more about specific examples in a second, that it can make you feel your most me and also boost your mood. I experienced all of those things during the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks as well. But I was conflating that and clothing's ability to do that with me, or you, being able to do our best work. And I was wondering, if I dressed in a way where I felt confident or most me, would I do my best work? I think the answer for me is, somewhat nuanced. Most days, most of the time, when it comes to our jobs or whatever work we have to do, if it's something we do regularly, we don't doubt our own ability to do our job. I think everybody, every now and then, where we do doubt our own capabilities and our own ability to do our jobs and our work. And so on those moments, I feel like getting dressed can absolutely change how we approach ourselves. Like, I know that if I've gone into school and I've just, let's say, had a bad performance review, or I felt like something was negative was happening with my students, and I went in with an outfit that made me feel my most me, that made me feel confident in my best self, I did get that confidence boost going into school to do my work and to teach or what have you. But I don't feel that way most times. So I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't care about dressing like our most selves every day. But what I am saying is that getting that extra boost can happen through clothing, and there are days where we need that most. Like, we need more effort, or we need more attention to feeling confident, or whatever word you're looking for. So to look at the whole experience, or the experience as a whole, what I did notice is that even like on the daily basis, I enjoyed clothing the most when I could, dress for a vibe. The other thing is that on days where I had a really shitty bad day the day before, the thing that helped me bounce back and feel like my most self, or the thing that could, I guess, make me feel, can up my mood and can enhance my mood, was when I got to get dressed and do my makeup. I actually noticed a visceral, real response from doing that. And I guess I didn't fully see the power of clothing to do that before this challenge. I guess the last thing I noticed about the beauty weeks is that on days where I did my makeup but not my hair, because I would do that first and then I would get dressed, if my hair wasn't looking good, that actually tanked how I felt about myself, and then also how I would get dressed, which I wasn't expecting. Like, over the past 2 to 4 weeks, I've worn my hair up significantly less, and I've actually blown out my hair much more. And this challenge made me realize the power of styling my own hair, and that like it's worth taking time for me, because it's the hair that is actually the completer. Like, I don't feel my most self unless I have the hair taken care of. So it's really part of the look. Now, when I'm thinking just specifically about the beauty components, this experience was worth it just for this, like what I learned here alone. And the best part is that it only got better with time. And what I learned about the power of clothing to help me bounce back after a difficult day or couple of days, and I did have migraines. I had two. One in week 1 and 2. Actually, it was week 1. And then I had another one in week 5, I believe it was. And I was in bed for basically 48 hours. And at that point, like, I was only using the bathroom. Like, I wasn't even cooking. Like, it was just bad. When you're in bed for 2 days, for me, it really tanks my mood. And I'm also typically not eating healthy. It's just like I need to eat because I want to go back into bed. And it's just, what is the literal quickest thing to eat right now? My partner brought me food one day. And so that whole experience really, really brought down my mood. And it was being able to get dressed and wear makeup that brought everything back. Learning that is really, really important. And this experience to learn about the power of feeling my most self, and then also how picking a vibe can really bring fun to getting dressed. Those 3 realizations are just worth the whole experience. And if you are currently like, I don't know how to feel my most me, I feel like maybe doing something like this can help you figure out what makes you feel like your most self. And I also have some videos on like capsule wardrobes if you're interested in finding your style. Let me know if you would want a video on that, on like how to feel your most me. The reason why this brings contentment, and I just want to try and be as clear as I can. When you have an outfit or when you have a style that feels your most self, there is confidence in that. At least for me, I can only speak from my experience. I felt confidence in that. And then you already know that you have clothing in your own wardrobe that makes you feel like your most self. And in my opinion, when my mind is elsewhere, or let's say I'm not doing a ton of work, or I'm not feeling satisfied in my own clothes, that's when I'm looking elsewhere, like something's not working, and then I want to go shopping opposed to spend time trying to figure out what's working. So when you have clothing that makes you feel like your most self, it already feels like you have things that work, that are perfect for you in your wardrobe right now. Like you have the literal perfect things that make you feel like your highest and best self right now. So if you have the perfect thing in your wardrobe, then you're not out looking for it and also feeling like you're an imperfect person or your style isn't perfect. And I mean, that's a whole other video, perfection and style, because we'll never get the perfect style. We'll never get the perfect wardrobe. And that's why I think the most me works instead of like the perfect wardrobe. So when you have things that make you feel like your most self, then you already have the perfect things. And then it like makes you want to shop less. At least that was my experience. And lastly, very lastly, I developed the courage to try new things that would not have happened had this project never happened. And this actually happened after week 6. I actually stopped everything after week 6, which was a huge mistake, and I'll talk about that later. But what stayed was this courage to be bold and try new things, and I did do that after. And that would never have happened without this project. And I'll show you an outfit that felt really bold to me. I think, as maybe you expected, the internal work stuff was the freaking best. Oh my God. It almost instant contentment. I would say that just doing the beauty and fashion stuff, I wasn't feeling content as a person. I was feeling content like with my style and with my fashion, which is still with things, and that does have an effect on your personhood. When you feel your most me, that does have an effect on your internal contentment. But I wasn't doing any internal work to feel content with who I am. Style only goes so far. Let's be clear. Style does go away, but it only goes so far. And the thing that made the biggest difference was gratitude journaling. This is the book that I used. It's a 5-minute gratitude journal from Sophia Godkin. I will link this in the description box below. I love this so much. Her questions do repeat like after a couple of weeks. So I actually went ahead and made my own. Like I just was like, okay, I have her questions and like I'm still gonna go and use the book, but I took the vibe of like the kinds of questions that she's looking at here. And I was also looking into some of the science behind gratitude and like why some of the questions work or how or why they can uplift you. And I created my own set that I love as well. So I have something that I can use. And if you want to check out mine, I have them in my Etsy store. So the reason why I think this book is better than the 5-minute journal or the ones that are just I'm grateful for, is those are the ones that I've used in the past. And that's only one line of thinking. And I also think that we can get stuck or just think about the same things, which are often things around us or people around us. And then we come to get into a specific line of thinking and thinking about people in the same way or the things around us. And it doesn't ask us to think differently or bigger or bolder. And so if you're being asked like what I'm grateful for today, you're going to list probably people or maybe things around your house, maybe a recent experience that you had, which is great, but that is very different than one reason I can smile right now. One way my life is better now than I ever expected it to be. It is getting you to think more critically and also deeper than I'm grateful for this thing. I think I'm grateful for is pretty surface level. And then also it can be like, well, how do I know what being grateful means? Like, am I actually grateful for this thing? Or do I just like this thing? Or does this thing make my life easier? And yes, things that make our lives easier, we can be grateful for them. But books like this, they make us think more critically about our lives in more positive ways. And so there's nothing negative in this book. And just working on, 3 or 5 gratitude prompts a day significantly, like it could turn a day that started off bad or was heading in a bad direction into a good one just by doing that. So if you take away anything from this video, start a gratitude practice. I do recommend this book wholeheartedly. And again, you can check out my Etsy shop, but also if you have one in your house, you can also make your own questions if you're so inclined. But that is the top recommendation because you are forcing yourself to take time every day to think about the positive things in your life and to be more grateful in your life. To have a gratitude mindset means you're going to have to change the way you think about things. And so I don't think that the I'm grateful for kind of answers actually changes the way that you're thinking. Whereas this, or if you're thinking about like something that you thought wouldn't work out but did, or even like if you could think about something similar, what's a door that closed that was actually an opening? Or what's a bad thing that where you thought was bad that taught you a lesson, even if it was bad, but taught you a lesson? Who is a person that taught you a lesson? Or what's a breakup that taught you a lesson? What's a friendship that taught you a lesson? I think there's so many things like that where we already view them negatively, especially when it comes to people or circumstance. The book flips the switch. And I think that's what the heart of a good gratitude practice can do, is flipping the switch, flipping the questions. That kind of questioning, I think, is like the first step in becoming a more grateful person, but also becoming a more positive person and a person who can do positive thinking. I also did enjoy journaling at the time, and at first I kind of struggled with that because I was like, what do I write today? Like, today was fine. Like, I went to the grocery store, I worked at my desk. What do I need to say about that? What is there to say about that? And that really taught me that just even the way that I was saying that, like, let's take the most classic boring day for me. Wake up, don't go to the gym, even as a rest day. I stay at home, I'm editing all day on my computer or like doing Photoshop kind of work, eat, maybe watch a show, go to bed. That is the most basic, boring day, if you will. And then to view that as like boring or my life isn't exciting, that's how I was viewing and that's how I was writing about it in my journal. My life doesn't feel good or exciting. But listen, friends, a lot of us have these days where these can be our most of the day, or these can be most of our days. And so what can I do to make those days more exciting? Going out for a walk already makes that day so much better. Doing a makeup look that I like or that I save for later that I wanted to try makes that day so much better. Making a meal that I wanted to make makes that day so much better. If you haven't seen my vlog on my other channel where I made this like really beautiful, tasty salmon salad, holy shit, that is like one of the best seafood things I've ever eaten. And I don't like salmon, and that converted me. That I did wholeheartedly as a result of this project. So making food that you actually are excited to eat, making a point to talk to somebody that day, or also being able to recognize, y'all, like, I am working a job, like I have a job, hallelujah, thank you, like, for my employment in this tough time. And if you like your job, even better, thank you for just even recognizing that I'm in a job that I like, that I love, that I get to do every day. Like, thank you. And I didn't do enough of that. And so I wasn't doing a lot of things in the day that I did have control over to make it, exciting or my best life. And then also doing things like reading at night or saving a video I really wanted to watch for the end of the day. Or one of my favorite things to do is I talk to my friend Rita most days, and I save her messages for like right in the morning, because talking to her always just starts my day off on a positive note. So things like that. And it wasn't until I wrote in my journal that I realized I was just viewing my days as like these not that I didn't know, but it really hammered home, I should say, that I was just viewing my days as like, it's a day. My thinking of that really needed to change too. So I was also using my journal to journal about hard topics, things I wasn't sure about, decisions I needed to make, something that happened, which was great. But then after the challenge, I stopped using it. And then it was hard to get back into it because I felt like there were certain things I was avoiding. And then going to my journal meant that I had to not avoid it, and I wanted to avoid it. That wasn't great. But here's what I want to talk about why these things overall brought contentment. When you're focusing on gratitude, like when you're focusing or when you're doing a gratitude journal, or you're answering journaling prompts, things like that. But overall in your life, you're not focusing on what you don't have or how you're not good enough. When I'm just viewing my life as not good enough, or who I am as not good enough, I try and fix it with stuff. And I've known that for a while. It's like one of the first things that I said on my no buy year back in 2020, that I wanted to fix myself with stuff. I don't think that we can ever have too many reminders of that practice, but when I felt inadequate about myself, not just like, let's say my appearance or my hair or something like that, but just like who I am as a person, like believing, even having moments of, I am not good enough, I am not a hard worker, or I'm a shitty person, I'm a stupid person, I'm a whatever negative things you say about yourself. When I feel that way about myself, I just want to go shopping because it makes me feel better, bad as that is. And so this is kind of something that I have been trying to talk about in the past. I think this is just such a good example. When we rely on willpower to stop shopping, it's also like a band-aid, because I don't think I will ever stop looking to stuff as the answer to feeling shitty about myself until I stop feeling shitty about myself. And in my moments, I mean months or weeks where I feel good about myself and my life and the choices that I'm making, I am looking to shopping way less. I am not looking to shopping as an outlet for feeling like shit or feeling bad about myself. And that is something that was really hammered home in this project. And I encourage you, if you go to shopping for an outlet to feel better about yourself, try that gratitude journal for a week and see what happens. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's going to fix all of your problems, but I think it's a great way to start feeling good or better and noticing the positive things. And I think will have a bigger effect than you realized. Also, in this time, in these 4 weeks, I only read 2 books. I had this long list of books that I wanted to read. And when I read nonfiction, I tend to take my time with it. Like, I actually will make notes. I'll I'll write stuff down. I did for both of these. I even wrote out questions that I wanted to circle back to, things I didn't understand or things that I wanted to talk about with one of my friends. I take them super seriously. So, I mean, part of me was like, you should have been able to read more than 2 nonfiction books in this time. But I also like was taking my sweet time, like literally taking only half an hour a day or 40 minutes a day to be super thorough and to think about it. And I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then also Rising Strong by Brené Brown. Rising Strong was like a kick in the gut and made me feel things immediately. And I was wrestling with things that I want, but like maybe I didn't want to wrestle with, but like it kind of forced me to. And what was funny enough is that at the beginning of the intro video, I was like, Atomic Habits is not the book to read in this challenge because it's about habits. But if you want to feel better about yourself, one, I think no buy or low buy activities, Contentment, we'll talk about Contentment as a habit, but they all revolve around habits. And so if you don't have these habits, you need them. And I think Atomic Habits is a great way to learn about them. And my friend Rita and I are buddy reading Atomic Habits, and we both kind of like put it down and like didn't come back to it. Not that it wasn't interesting or exciting, because it was actually a really great book. And it was the whole reason why Low Buy Bingo even started. Nonfiction always in a way like feels like learning. And I do like learning, but I also just like escaping into books. And just on a side note, if you watch my book video I put out a couple of weeks back, I read the last 2 books by Leigh Bardugo from the Shadow and Bone series in like 48 hours. Holy shit. And Gabby, who she watches and comments all the time, her and I were literally screaming at each other on Instagram. Oh my god, it was so funny. Gabby, if you're watching, I love talking to you. You're the best. Okay. So I just read 2 books, and thinking about it, like Rising Strong was a great pick, and I'm glad that I read it. But when it comes to like changing your habits now, or let's say you want to like, oh yeah, I want to reaffirm my commitment to my low buy or my contentment year, that's not really the book to do that. Atomic Habits is. So I feel like everybody and their mom talks about Atomic Habits, and I'll be like everybody and their mom and then Shauna. So I recommend that book to anybody who hasn't read it. It's actually great, and I need to finish it and totally belongs in this list. Atomic Habits, I would say that all of these books that I was reading have the power to like emphasize the journey, to play a good role, to be a book that I'm not going to say it makes the journey, but it helps the journey. Anne Rogers, you recommended The Paradox of Choice. Don't have that at my library, so I couldn't read it, and I was very sad. I think it was Ray Dalio. There was a book by him that I was looking into. I started it and was like, oh, hell no, and just don't recommend it. Okay, so the weeks 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 played into each other really well, or especially in week 5 and 6, because I was already like filling up and up with the gratitude. Then I was reading these books that were like more empowering and, helping the journey kind of books. And then I was also wearing things that I felt so good about, and they all just like had this cumulative effect. And it just like had this ripple effect in my life where it was like I was art journaling and I was doing watercolor and calligraphy and I was reading more, and my reading exploded in May. That was like week 6 was like the top of May. I was feeling so good and so creative and alive during this time. It was like I was calling and pulling things to help me do that. I felt this like jolt of happiness, and it was like life was so exciting, and I was wanting to try new skills, and I felt so I wanted to try new skills, and I felt so competent in that, and I wanted to improve on things. And sometimes, just kind of depending where my headspace is, I would say at least 50% of the time I can just feel like shit if I'm not good at something, or if I know that it's a skill I need to improve on, which is like not a rational thought. And then there's the other time where it's like, yeah, I can't do it, but that just means I can learn how. And that's kind of how I was in the past couple of weeks of the challenge. I realized how dramatically this project affected me is when I stopped everything. I made this conscious choice that's going to stop everything and just go back to how I was living before. And honestly, I became nearly miserable. And my mindset went to garbage. And this is a time where I feel like I take challenges too seriously. I notice my mood being affected. And what is actually shocking to me is how much I wanted to shop once I dropped everything. And this is what made me realize that contentment is built on habits. Contentment is not a destination that once you stop shopping, you're just content. What I mean by contentment is supported by good habits is that, or for me, contentment is this satisfaction of with who I am and what I have. And I would say quite often a happiness. But we don't feel happiness all the time, which is quite normal. And so I think that there's a distinction that we need to make, and I think most of us can, is like, what is a normal level of happiness, or what things affect our happiness? And, the fact that these things can go in and out, being able to identify that. What makes us happy? What makes us feel like our most fulfilled self? And for me, that is number one, gratitude journaling. That is like the easiest thing to start. And then also journaling. And then doing the things that make me feel like that actually bring me joy. Reading, doing art of different kinds are two things. And I was saying I took this too far because I saw how dramatically my mood and my outlook changed, but I didn't want to stop because I was like, I committed to like making this technically 8 weeks so I can see the whole thing. And I should have just been like, I know enough information. We can go back to whatever we're doing. And so this whole thing made me realize I now know what it means to be a content person. I now know how to get there, and I now know all of the things to do that, and they're habits. They're all habits. And what also, I don't know why I didn't quite think about it or didn't realize it at the time, but I didn't really consider anything other than like fashion, beauty, and then the like reading books, and then the journaling. But what also was clear through this challenge is that movement, as well as like what I eat, dramatically affect my contentment too. And those are habits that we can build in, and we don't need to build them in all at one time. We could do them slowly or one at a time. And I just didn't think about these things. And I think honestly, if I included them, would probably have just been too big. But what I realized over these weeks, there were days where I didn't feel great. And then I would eat like 5 grilled cheeses and I would just feel like bad. But listen, I'm not here trying to say that like you have to feel like shit if you eat grilled cheese. No. What I'm saying is that like on the days, okay, here's another example to counter that. My partner and I went to go eat pizza, and we both ate an extra large pizza, which was like 5 slices each. And then we went and we ate 2 more slices of pizza each. So like I ate a large pizza. And then we had ice cream after. I did not feel that. I did not feel bad about that day like I did the day 5 grilled cheeses, because that was planned. That was like, we're going to eat some pizza, and it was like a really great experience. Conzo's Pizza in Toronto, that's what we ate. Oh man, that's all. Okay. I don't want to get into that. So I give you these 2 examples to show that it's not necessarily what you're eating. It's like the mindset behind why you're eating what you're eating. If you eat a whole large cheese pizza to stuff your face because you feel like shit, for me, it's just going to make me feel worse. So I don't want to eat the large cheese pizza because I'm feeling sad. So my contentment is supported by habits. I don't know. It feels like life tries to hide the keys from you to find contentment to your own life, or like makes it so hard to figure it out. And so I found it, and I'm like, am I supposed to have this? But yes, we are. We're supposed to feel satisfied in our lives. And I'm not saying that like I'm a different person now, that's it. Because as I've said, it's built on habits, and habits can be hard to stick to. But knowing what it is and how to get there makes all the difference. I know the answer now, and now it's just about implementation. And I don't think it's going to take a week or 2. And, it's about maintaining it. But now I know, and I feel so empowered. What a great experiment. What a great experiment. I don't know. I honestly don't know where to go from here, because I felt like I learned so much. I'm kind of speechless. Where do you go from here? Anyways, I talked so much in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, for being here, all of you. Every week, if you're a new subscriber, I would love to know in the comments down below. Actually, here's something fun I would love to hear from you. Let me know what video made you subscribe to my channel. I would love to know. Or not made you, but what video did you go, this is my channel? I would love to know. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.